Oh boy. Guys, hey, welcome, HCB family. This is Holt the Warrior. I want to try and get onto this as soon as possible. I'm really trying to wrap my head around this. Again, before I start, I want you guys to know I've read the articles, I've listened to the conference, I've heard the questions, I've got questions myself. So I've got plenty of ammunition. So this is not done here blindly. But before I start, I just want you guys to know that there's been, all over the NRL, right? Payne Haas wants to leave the Broncos effectively immediately. The Broncos came out today in response and said, no, we're going to stand firm, right? You're with us till the end of 2024, so we're going to make sure that that somehow works. And yet we let Matt Lodge walk. Does it sort of tell you the difference between the two clubs? I think it does. Now, anyway, back to what Matt Lodge was saying. So, back to Matt Lodge, right? And so basically, obviously, as fans, we want to sort of hear what on earth Cameron George has to say to the situation at hand. We all know that Matt Lodge has left the club. Now, Cameron George, I mean this respectfully, would make a great politician in the sense that there was a lot of questions being gunned his way, and much like the Matrix, he was weaving, he was dodging. You know what I mean? And what really sucks about that is, as fans who genuinely care about this club, who really want to hear, right, listen to what he wants to say, we really didn't get anything at all. There was no substance, there was no fruit. You know what I mean? For what he was saying, there was no meat. You're just left with the bread. You get what I mean? And so that really sucked, because when you really try to get to know the nitty gritty, it was basically him palming things off, or if anything, saying the same thing over and over again. And for a club where we need a bit of transparency, that is so not the way to go about it. Now, I'm not going to throw any accusations, I'm not going to throw any things left, right, and center. I just want you guys to understand where I'm coming from. And again, this is from my perspective. So Cameron George basically said that the reason why Lodge left was because Robinson and Lodge had a bit of a heated debate. As Robinson said, two alphas had a bit of a heated debate, and due to that, things never really got polished, or if anything, it didn't get healed. Now, as the reporters were asking questions, one of them asked Cameron George, do you think that may have had something to do with the fact that Matt Lodge is now gone? And he said possibly, but it is what it is. Now, my first take on this initially is, what is our owner doing, having debates and or heated arguments with our players? And oh man, I've got to really be careful here, but are there other players who he has argued with? Like, again, I understand he is the owner. He's the only, independent owner, in the NRL regarding the Warriors. But I just want to know, like, are there other players that have been through this? Like, it's so unhealthy in the sense that Matt Lodge has gone now. We got cap space, and Cameron George sort of touched on the cap space, but again, no real answers. There was no real answers there. And we are going to be paying him this year, the remainder of this year, and also we're going to be paying him next year as well. As there's some amount, I'm not too sure. I've heard 700,000 as I reported on yesterday, but I've also heard 500,000, 200,000. I'm not too sure. Right? The reality is there's been no real figure given, although you may, you would be around the ballpark if you were to say 700,000, 500,000. Again, this is not confirmed, but that's my understanding. But the main point to take away from all this is not the money, it's not the sum. It's the fact that we let a player walk, right, midway through this year, right in the thick of battle, right? And, oh, guess what? We're paying him this season, and, oh, we're paying him next season. In terms of business, that is bad business. I am doing so well here to hold it together. I honestly could explode. I could really explode here because it's so infuriating. And when he's talking about the fact that, Mark Robinson had it his way, wanted it his way, and Matt Lodge, like, just far out, man. Like, our own owner, the owner of the Warriors, like, he brings up alpha, but alphas don't do this stuff. Alphas don't do this stuff. I'm really, really, really at my wit's end here with this club in regards to how we do things. And ultimately, all this sort of falls back on Nathan Brown. He's the coach. Results don't happen. Guess what? It's on him. Yet, really, it's from the top up that the problems are. Now, they ask some other questions. Why can't Mark Robinson come in? He basically goes along the lines of, well, he doesn't have to answer to anyone, really. And I think that's probably the issue. And I think that is probably the issue. Well, that mindset of, it's my club, I'll do as I please, quite clearly, we've lost in my opinion anyway, a good player in Matt Lodge. Now, you may sit there and say otherwise, but we're not here to talk about that. The reality is we've got a player who's now no longer playing for us when he was contracted to play for us. And oh, well, there you go. He's using a player option to get paid money next season, even though he's not playing for us. And the confusion is just absolutely just doing my head in. There's not too much to really go off what's been said already, apart from the fact that it's disappointing. It's disappointing that the transparency is not really there. It's more so along the lines of, oh, well, it happened, move on. Cameron George speaks of young up-and-coming talent, but yet we go and sneak Dunamis Lui in. And again, no disrespect to him, but what's the point in trying to talk about all this new talent? Even Mark Robson himself brings it up. New talent brings up, the Kiwi culture, and I think that's the hook, line, and sinker for some of us. Some of us hear that, and then we get sucked in, and then we're all team Mark Robinson again. When the reality, it shouldn't even be about Mark Robinson versus Matt Lodge. It should be about the fact of this club, right? This club here doing things that have affected the club in the short term, in the long term, whatever you want to call it. The reality is, this is a big reality check in the sense that players will know the owner. It may not come anymore. And I think Cameron George sort of skimmed it, but he said it well in the sense that not all players want to play under Mark Robson. And whether that was a little bit of a slight little, a diss or not, I'm not too sure. But that's reality, right? In every sense of the word, that's the reality. And again, just going back to what Mark Robinson was saying, he brings up Kiwi culture, just going back to New Zealand playing. And again, some of us are now back on that bandwagon, back on that. But the reality is, can we open our eyes just a bit wider, please? Can we hear just a bit louder? You know what I mean? Can we tune our ears to what we're hearing? Because ultimately, it's not even about siding with it. It's just look at it for what it is. In plain sight, this ain't great. In plain sight, this is bad business, all right? The fact that it's happened and we're just happy to let it basically walk and manifest itself as something totally different to what we're trying to do. Cameron George brought up the fact that, he doesn't want to be, Matt Lodge doesn't want to be here. That's okay. We'll go in our own separate way. It's not the point, though. It's so not the point. The point is now we're literally having to pay this person going their own separate way. Right? We're all trying to go our own separate way, but we can't because we're attached to paying this guy something. And Mark Robinson said that that's okay. That's the best option. If that was the best option, my goodness me, we need some more brain investors there. We need a bit more in the bloody brains trust, don't we? I am absolutely just livid, really. I really am. I look at this, and I haven't even touched the fact that the boys aren't even doing well. You know what I mean? Like, Cameron George speaks about, sort of like, what's the word? I forgot what he used, but something along the lines of, the Warriors are trying, right? And they're going in this way, in this particular way, and we're fighting through it, He talks about it like, it's as if we're making inroads in the season. We're not. We're not. The truth is, this club's in big trouble. Regardless of whatever you think, regardless of who you are, if you look at what's happened today and where we are at the ladder and where we can possibly be, and I'm not even kidding, I mean, we could possibly be at the wooden spoon or even second to last. This is worrying, okay? This is not great. Okay, there's no such thing as breathing. There's no reprieve. This ain't great. Okay, this is just absolute bombarding. Like in a boxing match, except you're trying to beg for mercy. But there's no ref there. You're just getting absolutely hammered. Left, right, over and over and over and over again. This is what it feels like. This club is yet to really fall down. And I feel like we're about to really hit the fan, so to speak. Crap hit the fan. I was left walking away from that after reading the articles and listening to that. Nothing at the end really eventuated, apart from the fact that look to the future. Great, we can do that. But at the same time, whether you like it or not, I still think that unfortunately, what's happened here is not great. And for the people in charge, or the people in power, it exposes a lot of things to me anyway, I think. There's a lot of questions there's a lot more questions now happening, and we should all be asking these questions as a collective, because we have a right to know. We need some transparency. We want the best for this club, but quite clearly things aren't happening that way. If we go and we lose to the Knights, you know what I mean? Like the ramifications, the reality of that loss is gonna be a big blow to whatever it is we're trying to do this. I don't even know what we're trying to do this season. See, there was no talk about trying to top 8. There was nothing there, you know, apart from we're gonna try and get over this week. And even then, the most bravest Warriors fan amongst you, myself included, I know you still got to be looking back, surely in the back of your mind, saying that there's possibly a chance that we lose this game against the Knights. We are in such a disarray. And regardless of result, it ultimately comes down, and I think anyway, it pans down to just what on earth is this happening, what's happening. But like I said, you know, Mark Robinson, Cameron George, you know, both very pivotal figures in the Warriors. Again, as a fan, as a member, as much as I respect what you guys do, I'm still left again with more questions. I'm left thinking that there is just probably more to the story. I don't know. But the point being, though, is that I'm not really happy with this ending. I'm not happy with this ending. And if truth be told, I feel disappointed. You know, but ultimately, guess what? I want to close this off, but ultimately, we lose Matt Lodge. We lost a player. We lose somebody who was helping us. We lose somebody who could have been a key point to our season heading into not only just this year, obviously, but to next year. And we can talk about all these new signings all we want, but the reality is, when you've lost a player much like himself, it's really hard to come by. You know, this is a big name player here. Who knows, man, honestly. I just feel disappointed. You know, last sort of questions and thoughts for myself, you know, can Payne Haas come here? Who knows? But look, in saying that, you know, all jokes aside there, more questions. That's all. Anyway, give me your thoughts, guys. Vent away, please. Vent away. Wow, you know, yeah, my confidence in the top is not confident anymore. I don't know what's going on, guys. Anyway, take it easy. See you guys next time. Hold the ball.